BSN. Finish first. Today on MMA 101.
Get yourself out of a bad position. Work on escaping bad positions. You don't want some flying crazy submission that maybe works, maybe it doesn't, and you miss it and get in a bad position. You know, identifying your weaknesses is a process that you yourself will know just by fighting in any form of jiu-jitsu, wrestling, whatever. You'll know where you're weak, where you're losing the little battles. Obviously, one important aspect of fighting is ground game strategies. That makes up typically about half of the fighting, the other half being the standing up. And you can even break it down and make wrestling too. But the important thing about ground game strategies is position. I always preach, I don't preach so much, but I usually say position before submission. You don't want some flying crazy submission that maybe works, maybe it doesn't, and you miss it and get in a bad position. You want to sweep the guy, control his posture, control what he's doing, whether you're on the top or the bottom. And if you're on the bottom in MMA, the most important thing you want to do is sweep him or get up, get on top of him in some manner, if you can't submit him. If you can submit him from your guard or half guard, that's fine, but that's getting harder to do as people become more abreast of the guard game. So I think the most crucial thing you can do is get your opponent off you and get on top of him. Get yourself out of a bad position. Work on escaping bad positions, more so than submissions. Again, position before submission. Fighting in any form of jiu-jitsu, wrestling, whatever, you'll know where you're weak, where you're losing the little battles.
MMA 101 is brought to you by Synth6, the official protein beverage of the UFC. In this game, only the strong survive.
And here we go!
You gotta be willing to fight to the end.
Forrest Griffin has defeated Shogun!
That's why Synth6 is the official protein beverage of the UFC. So now, you can fight longer, stronger, you can fight harder.
The man who helped to bring us to where we are today is the new light heavyweight champion.
Synth6, the official protein beverage of the UFC.
That's true. That's science right there. A dolphin attacked me. I was attacked by a dolphin. That's not funny. They're actually pretty strong. In North Carolina, the water inlet, sometimes the dolphins are stupid and the tide goes out and they stay in the inlet and the tide goes out, they can't get out, so they get panicky. But I didn't know it was panicky. I just thought, dolphin in shallow water. So I went over, I had a life jacket on. It was like a kid. I swam over to it and it like, it actually ripped the stuffing out of my life jacket. And I was like crying and trying to get back on the boat. It was hilarious. And then everybody rushed over to pull me in the boat and the boat started to flip over. It's hilarious. It's so funny that then I don't like dolphins anymore. You know, identifying your weaknesses is a process that you yourself will know just by fighting in any form of jiu-jitsu, wrestling, whatever. You'll know where you're weak, where you're losing the little battles. But it's also a good place to get an outside look, a second or third opinion, as far as people that can tell you what you're really doing wrong, or why you're specifically getting taken down on the fence, or ending up in bad positions, or losing the scramble particularly. And again, that's something that you got to do, and I really hate doing it, but you got to watch footage of yourself. Watch footage of yourself sometime in training, you know? Just tape yourself hitting mitts. You're not going to like the way it looks. And then hopefully you'll improve upon that. Or if you just tape yourself grappling sometimes, you'll see, oh, I'm being real lazy on my back. No wonder why, you know, I get beat up down there. I'm being lazy. I'm not coming up. I'm not coming up on my knees and going for the sweep and playing butterfly guard as much as I need to. You know, you're always going to have weak areas of your jiu-jitsu game, or any game. Mine right now, I would say the weakest aspect is passing. I'm a little too content to just stay in people's guards and kind of hold them down. I don't work for the pass, and I'm not real good in the open guard game. So anytime you're bad at something, you want to isolate it and work it. And a lot of times you work with an opponent and don't tell them specifically what you're trying to improve upon that day. Just let them react normal and you know, see how it plays out.
Next week on MMA 101.
Jiu-Jitsu, there's no end point, you know, it just goes on forever, and there's always a counter to the move and a move to the counter. And, you know, it's fascinating and it's fun, you know.